Happy December, people. Happy December. We are officially 11 months in on the year. 1 month left in the year 2021. Boy, has it been a blast. Time flies. Time flies. Um, but so hope everyone's had good years thus far. And for anyone that doesn't or hasn't had a year of expectations. Still a month to go to work out. But nonetheless, thank you for joining me today for your AEW Dynamite review for December 1st, 2021. Was a good show tonight for Dynamite on Wednesday. Some changes made for Rampage on Friday, but overall, a good show here. We got confrontation between Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page, which is figure out that in 2 weeks' time, at Winter is Coming, it'll be Hangman and Page versus Bryan Danielson, main event for the AEW World Championship at Winter is Coming. Now, I was a little curious as to how or when this is going to take place, with Battle of the Belts being at the start of January. So giving away this match at Winter is Coming, it's a little intriguing to see how things go down the line, but great showing. We know that last year at Winter is Coming, it was Omega versus Moxley for the world title. And here is again in 2 weeks for the world title. Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson. Could not come up with a better match. But we also had some more rift between MJF and CM Punk as they put more or turn the tide forward more or keep it rolling more for their feud. I mean, next week will be the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal for MJF's Dynamite Diamond Ring. So I wonder if CM Punk's going to play a factor in that match. We'll see. Because we saw MJF on commentary for CM Punk's match, a late edition with Lee Moriarty. But let's get into the review now, after that intro out of the way. But first, thoughts and prayers out to Jim Ross, JR. He is undergoing now treatment for skin cancer. So he was not on commentary tonight. We had some guest commentators on for tonight in JR's place, but nonetheless, thoughts out for JR and hope he has a speedy recovery, having back ASAP. Also, Justin Roberts was out tonight for Dynamite. Excalibur said thoughts and prayers are with Justin Roberts. Dasha Gonzalez, she was doing the introductions tonight Not sure what's with him, but thoughts out with him. But the show started off. Bryan Danielson, well, first, Hangman Adam Page came out for commentary. He was the first guest commentator tonight for Dynamite. He was out on commentary for the Bryan Danielson Allin Angels match, aka number 5 of the Dark Order. And stipulation was in place by Tony Khan. If Hangman left the desk during this match, or if they touch during the night, that Hangman would be fined and suspended. So that was a little touch on the match there. But so Angels, we know, is very young, and we've seen him hang with Omega, and he can go. He took it to Danielson to start, but eventually Bryan wore on with his kicks and chops in the corner, running drop kick, and then, but Angels got the advantage again, and then hit a suicida, followed with a moonsault from the top rope on the outside. Went for a diving foot stomp, but Bryan got out of the way. A standing Spanish fly for a near fall. Good stuff. Angels went for a moonsault off the top rope, but Bryan rolled out of the way, hit a running knee. And Bryan's new role was egging on the crowd. He was like, that's not good enough. So he landed stomps to the head, or the side of the head of Angels, and then was like, that's not enough. So then he locked in a heel hook. Angels tapped. Bryan held on to the hold a bit longer. And it was announced by Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone that in 2 weeks, of course, Hangman and Bryan, their collision course, winter is coming. So then Bryan took the microphone, talked about his wins, talked about just beating Angels. Now that if that's Atlanta's finest, basically crapped on Atlanta for a bit. So he called Hangman a one-hit wonder. Hangman got off the desk, but right out of the tunnel, Johnny Hungy, John Silvers, he came out and stopped Hangman on the stage. He said, well, Hangman can't touch Bryan tonight, but he can. So he ran to the ring. Bryan evaded, saying Silvers is not on his level. And Hangman and Bryan had a nice stare down up the ramp. And he said that these fans in attendance don't deserve it. So, good stuff by Bryan. He is really taking this short-term heel role and making the most of it. I mean, yes, it was supposed to be Moxley in this role or as a heel role, but Bryan is just taking this thing by the horns and just, geez, good stuff by Bryan. Can't wait for the match in 2 weeks. So we got CM Punk versus Lee Moriarty. But CM Punk, for the second straight week, while he was making his entrance, was interrupted by MJF's music. He came out wearing these. I don't know what he was wearing. He was wearing these crazy outfit, just bizarre. Excuse me. But he was on commentary, the second guest commentator tonight, and NJF is a fantastic commentator. You know, when he retires, he could definitely, from in ring, he could definitely be a stellar commentator in the booth. So, he was criticizing this match between CM Punk and Lee Moriarty. Overall, the match was good. Springboard crossbody by Punk that was rolled through by Moriarty for a near fall. Moriarty kept taking it to CM Punk after it was a slow start, chain wrestling. And then Moriarty, after Punk kicked out, locked in a Gargano escape or a crossface with the arm in on Punk. Punk did not tap out. Got the advantage again. They were on the top rope. And Punk went for a top rope moonsault. But Moriarty rolled through again and got a near fall on Punk. Punk and Moriarty exchanged a pair of roll-ups, pin attempts. Moriarty then hit his finisher, I assume, a big underhook slam for a near fall. Finally, Punk muscled up Moriarty on his shoulders, hit the GTS for the win. Good win for Punk and good showing by Lee Moriarty. They highlighted before the match Moriarty's victory on Dark over Nick Camarado, Caveman Camarado. So good stuff, and featuring Dark. So good stuff there. Moriarty, another young rising star in AEW. So good. Although I'm not a fan of his theme song, I'm not a fan of that. So then after the match, MJF came off commentary, took the microphone, brought Punk, said that basically all he's been trying to do, or all he's struggling with, is getting in the Britt Baker's pants, which, I mean, Punk has been bringing up Britt Baker a bunch during his promos with MJF, so I will say that. And talked about him struggling to be QT Marshall and Lee Moriarty. Punk fired back saying that they're better than him and he knows it. MJF called Punk not CM Punk, he called him a one pump chump. April probably disagrees. That's all I'll say. CM Punk's wife. That's all I'll say. So, also, CM Punk said that MJF looks like he's wearing Larry David's pajamas. The crazy outfit he was wearing. And he called MJF to the ring, but MJF went over more and hit my microphone. But he talked about how CM Punk brought his dog Larry in the back. Just my microphone a bit, or camera. But anyway, so he said that he better be careful bringing his dog to AEW. Otherwise, MJF will put his dog to sleep. So this obviously egged on Punk. He went up the stage to meet MJF, but out came Wardlow, who saw Punk, and the officials came out to separate them. And that was it. So I would expect two things. I would expect CM Punk either he interferes in the Battle Royal next week, costs MJF either next week in the Battle Royal or the week after, because the rules where the two left standing in the Battle Royal fight for the Dynamite Diamond Ring the week after, or the following week. So I would expect CM Punk to have something to say in the next 2 weeks regarding the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So, speaking of Britt Baker, MJF said Britt Baker, and we heard Britt Baker. So we cut to Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Rebel. They were backstage. They talked about how they had kumbaya and are at peace. And they're normal again. Britt Baker complained about Riho and said she cheated and about her getting her shot. But next week, it'll be Jamie Hayter versus Riho. And Britt Baker said, whatever, or if Riho gets past Jamie Hayter next week, then she can have her shot at Britt Baker. But she doesn't see it likely. DMD. And then coincidence? I think not. So this is funny. We go from talking about Britt Baker to Britt Baker to Britt Baker's boo. Adam Cole, baby. Adam Cole. He was out. He did his shtick in the ring. I thought that he was going to cut a promo or something. So then he went to commentary for a bit. And then Orange Cassidy's music played. Obviously, there was a tag team match. Them, Utah, and Fish on Friday. So Cassidy came out, confronted Adam Cole, put his hand in his face, put his hands in his pockets, and out from behind, the Young Bucks, they came out for the ambush. Cole hit a low blow on Cassidy. Young Bucks, they mocked Orange Cassidy and did Orange Cassidy style super kicks by the Bucks. So funny stuff there. And then they hit an actual super kick party to Orange Cassidy. Utah and Chuck Taylor came out with chairs for the save. So, and that was there. So, what I see it is an Orange Cassidy Adam Cole match we're gearing towards. That's what it seems. Or we're getting the Super Click for the best friends. Either way, good with me. So then we got Mr. Mayhem. I mean, earlier we saw Wardlow in his wrestling gear, so not surprised that he was in action tonight. So we got Wardlow with Shawn Spears for Stacey Adams. This was simple. A just power bomb fest. You know, power bomb, power bomb, power bomb, power bomb by Wardlow. And that was enough to pin AC Adams here. No F10. Excuse me. No casualty of war. Simple as that. Afterwards, Shawn Spears laid out an attack on AC Adams with the chair. He had simple as that from the chairman and Mr. Mayhem. And I will say, Tony Schiavone, he talked about how if Wardlow separates himself from MJF, it's not if, it's when, that he could be a major player in AEW, and I could totally see him as a world champion in the future when he separates himself from the Pinnacle and MJF. So then we got Darby Allin and Sting. First, the Gun Club. So it's always good to hear Sting's music play. Now, the makeup of Sting, I first saw it and I was curious what was going on. And then I saw Darby with the same face paint and I was like, oh, okay. So I was a little curious if something went wrong with the usual face paint of Sting. But they looked like skeletal face there. Anyway, good stuff. This match was alright. Um, we had back and forth between Sting and Billy Gunn. Nice nostalgia there. Darby took out Billy with his insane suicida on the outside. And finally back in the ring, Darby hits a stunner and Scorpion Death Drop by Sting on Colton for the win. And Darby on Sting. You know, the battle of the undefeated teams. Darby on Sting stay undefeated. So good stuff there. And that's the way it should be. Unless it's like a team you're taking seriously and you view as probably the next big, or two guys that you think are the next big thing. That's probably the only circumstance where I see Darby Allin Singh losing, but I don't see it anytime soon. So then, right after the match, we cut away to Chris Jericho backstage with Alex Marvez. When asked about him coming to Eddie Kingston's aid on Rampage Friday, Jericho stopped him there and talked about he wasn't aiming to the aid of Kingston, but rather N 2.0. And then all of a sudden we see 2.0 and Daniel Garcia backstage lay waste on Chris Jericho with an attack. They laid him out with a chair shot, left him laying. Simple as that. Good to see 2.0 more back on TV. So, for the Darby Allin Sting match, and they were basically out there the rest of the night. Taz was, but Taz was there and Team Taz. And Taz made the announcement about the Diamond Battle Royal that Team Taz got a 125% chance of winning because all the members of Team Taz will be in the Battle Royal. So, good odds for Team Taz. And then tag there, but oh well. Then we heard Leo Rush's music play. He came out, talked about he's a fighter, that Taz knows him. These people know him as a fighter. And even if he goes down, he will keep fighting even if he only has 1%. So, Leo Rush and his former protege, Dante Martin, they had a bit of words on the stage. And Ricky Starks came out to greet Dante Martin, and Dante Martin is. I'm trying to get used to it. I'm trying to get used to it because they're clearly still trying to keep Martin relevant while his brother is still out. And Lil Rush. I like him as a single, so we'll see how it goes in this Battle Royal next week. Ruby Soho versus Kris Statlander. TBS style tournament quarterfinals, the final quarterfinal match. Solid match between the two women. Taz was funny though, singing Ruby Soho's music on commentary. I will say that. Kris Statlander. Yeah. Anyway, this was a good match. So, flatliner by Ruby for near fall. Ruby had the advantage for a while. She had top rope senton. They talked about how there was a way of respect between them to start, and overall the match got more physical during time. Top rope senton by Ruby for a 2 count. A counter by Kris Statlander into a blue thunder bomb for a near fall. She hit a buckle bomb, then I would say a Michinoku driver or a variation for a 2 count. Ruby, I thought the match was going to end here. She had a Poison Rana, followed by her Karana face first into the mat of Kris Statlander for a 2 count. Finally, Kris was going for the Big Bang Theory tombstone, but Ruby countered to a victory roll for the win. Ruby advances, right outcome. She will face Nyla Rose in the semifinals of the tournament. Finally, Kris went up the ramp, greeted by Vicky Guerrero. Ruby Soho, she was on the turnbuckle, pandering to the fans, but she was ripped down by Nyla Rose, and she was chased off by Kris Statlander. So, distraction by Vicky, and Nyla getting an advantage on Ruby before their match in the second round. So, we'll see. A change made to Rampage Friday. So we had an interview earlier that instead of Penta and Phoenix, the Lucha Brothers, versus FTR on Friday, it'll be Pac and Pentagon or Penta El Zero Miedo versus FTR on Friday. Pac was shown with an eye patch selling the Miss of Malachi Black last week. So, well, strange single with an eye patch, but selling that Miss by Black. Sammy Guevara for Tony Nese for the TNT Championship on Friday. Next week, the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Jamie Hayter versus Riho for next week. So that's lineup for Friday next week. Main event. Andrade El Idolo versus Cody Rhodes. Atlanta Street Fight. So this was fun. So a rain of boos for Cody during his entrance. Andrade he met Cody up the stage during his entrance, and the brawl started. I almost missed it. Arn Anderson, he fell. Thankfully, he was okay, but he fell off the stage area. But good thing he's okay. But so they were brawling near the stage area, in the crowd. A trash can was hit onto Cody. There was something stuck on his back. I'm not sure what. Cody had a dive on the outside. Finally, they fought near the ringside area. Cody was dropped on a pair of steps set up by Andrade. Cody sent Andrade into the ring post. T-Pain, who is a guest host as well for the Go Big Show. He was in the crowd, and he gave Cody a chair, and Cody blasted Andrade in the face with it. Finally, they were in the ring. So Cody took off his belt, and we know he likes to throw the belt to someone in the crowd, but he took too much time soaking in. Andrade got the advantage and then used Cody's belt on Cody with him and threw it in the crowd for Cody. So then there was a bag used by Jose. So there was a bag of objects. So Andrade used a laptop to Cody's face. There's a bunch of weapons under the ring. Trash can lid, chain, chairs. Andrade went for a table, but he told the crowd wanted it, so instead he put the table back underneath the ring. Only later he would pull out two tables, but either way, heel move by Andrade. Back in the ring, he has beautiful split leg moonsault for their fall. Cody hit a low blow and went for the Cody cutter, but was sent to the outside. Cody went for Suicida, but was intercepted with a chair and was busted open because Cody match odds are he's going to be busted open. So Andrade was sent into the ring. Cody was looking for weapons. This was probably besides the ending, this was probably the highlight of the match. So Cody was looking for weapons. At first, he pulled out a kendo stick. So he's like, no, he threw that aside. He pulled out a sledgehammer next because none of the comparisons between that have been made between Cody and Triple H. Of course, when Triple H would bury people, but so then he threw that back underneath the ring, and Tazwa was like, "You don't need. He doesn't need that." Finally, he pulled out a golden shovel. Golden shovel. Because people have said a lot that he buries people. So that was just hilarious. So Jose came out from the tunnel. I'm not sure what. I guess he was brawling with Arn Anderson. And he was met with a shovel in the face by Cody. So he was taken down. So then they were back in the ring. So one table was set up by Andrade in the corner, or so there was a chair. Yeah, to help myself. So Andrade set up a chair and Cody's face in the corner. He is running these in the corner for a near fall. Then the table was set up. The first table, Andrade did a hip toss to Cody through the table. Finally, a second table was showed up, or set up near the corner. So there was a hood person to help Cody with the advantage, which turned out to be Brandy, his wife. So Brandy, she sprayed this table with lighter fluid, a bunch of lighter fluid. She lit up the table for a flaming table, and Cody, they were fighting on top rope, and clearly this table, well, this spot, I mean, a different move, I wouldn't get it, but this spot off the top rope, through a table, not the best, I would say, but table is lit, a flaming table. Cody hit a reverse suplex to Andrade that was short. Andrade's head may have hit the table, but Cody landed like 95% himself through the table. Through the flaming table. And he covers Andrade 1, 2, 3 for the win. A unexpected, thrilling, I would say, ending to Dynamite. But, I mean, the spot, people are going to be having different opinions on the spot in the match, but the match for me was fun. And, I mean, what Cody has to do to pin Andrade, I will say that was a good spot. So I would say I'm good with that. But overall, good show. Progressing more storylines. More hype going into winter's coming. And we know that the finals of the Dynamite Diamond Ring will be at winter's coming, I believe. So that's another thing to look forward to. But good stuff to look forward to as Dynamite progresses, but overall, that's the review. Anyway, thank you for joining me, everyone. Good show. Like the video. If you're new to the podcast and if you want to see more on the channel, click subscribe there. Click to see more Dynamite reviews, Rampage, and more. Also, if you like this video, click that like. But overall, thank you. Be back next week, of course, with Dynamite. Saturday with Rampage. But thank you again. I'll be back. Be safe. Peace.